Chapter 1. In Trouble Again. It's always there, like the ground underneath my feet. Well, Allie, are you going to write or aren't you? Mrs. Hall asks. If my teacher were mean, it would be easier. Come on, she says. I know you could do it. What if I told you that I was going to climb a tree using only my teeth? Would you say I could do it then? Oliver laughs, throwing himself on his desk like it's a fumbled football. Shay groans. Allie, why can't you just act normal for once? Near her, Albert, a bulky kid who's worn the same thing every day, a dark t-shirt that reads Flint, sits up straight, like he's waiting for a firecracker to go off. Mrs. Hall sighs. Come on now. I'm only asking for one page describing yourself. I can't think of anything worse than having to describe myself. I'd rather write about something more positive, like throwing up at your own birthday party. It's important, she says. It's so your new teacher can get to know you. I know that, and it's exactly why I don't want to do it. Teachers are like machines that take quarters for bouncy balls. You know what you're going to get, yet you don't know, too. And, she says, all that doodling of yours, Allie, if you weren't drawing all the time, your work might be done. Please put it away. Embarrassed, I slide my drawings underneath my blank writing assignment. I've been drawing pictures of myself being shot out of a cannon. It would be easier than school, less painful. Come on, she says, moving my lined paper toward me. Just do your best. 7 schools in 7 years, and they're all the same. Whenever I do my best, they tell me I don't try hard enough. Too messy. Careless spelling. Annoyed that the same word is spelled different ways on the same page. And the headaches. I always get headaches from looking at the brightness of dark letters on white pages for too long. Mrs. Hall clears her throat. The rest of the class is getting tired of me again. Chairs slide, loud sighs. Maybe they think I can't hear their words. Freak, dumb, loser. I wish she'd just go hang by Albert, the walking Google page, who'd get a better grade than me if he just blew his nose into the paper. The back of my neck heats up. I don't get it. She always lets me slide. It must be because these are for the new teacher and she can't have one missing. I stare at her big stomach. So, did you decide what you're going to name the baby? I ask. Last week, we got her talking about baby names for a full half hour of social studies. Come on, Allie. No more stalling. I don't answer. I mean it, she says, and I know she does. I watch a mind movie of her taking a stick and drawing a line in the dirt between us under a bright blue sky. She's dressed as a sheriff, and I'm wearing black and white prisoner stripes. My mind does this all the time. Shows me these movies that seem so real that they carry me away inside of them. They are a relief from my real life. I steal up inside, willing myself to do something I really don't want to do, to escape this teacher who's holding on and won't let go. I pick up my pencil and her body relaxes, probably relieved that I've given in. But instead, knowing she loves clean desks and things just so, I grip my pencil with a hard fist and scribble all over my desk. Allie, she steps forward quick. Why would you do that? The circular scribbles are big on top and small on the bottom. It looks like a tornado, and I wonder if I meant to draw a picture of my insides. I look back up at her. It was there when I sat down. The laughter starts, but they're not laughing because they think I'm funny. I can tell that you're upset, Allie, Mrs. Hall says. I'm not hiding that as well as I need to. She's such a freak, Shay says in one of those loud whispers that everyone is meant to hear. Oliver is drumming on his desk now. I fold my arms and stare up at her. That's it, Mrs. Hall finally says. To the office, now. I wanted this, but now I'm having second thoughts. Allie. Huh? Everyone laughs again. She puts up her hand. Anyone else who makes a sound gives up their recess. The room is quiet. Allie, I said to the office. I can't go see our principal, Mrs. Silver, again. I go to the office so much. I wonder when they'll hang up a banner that says, "Welcome, Allie Nickerson." I'm sorry, I say, actually meaning it. I'll do it, I promise. She sighs. Okay, Allie, but if that pencil stops moving, you're going. She moves me to the reading table next to a Thanksgiving bulletin board about being grateful. Meanwhile, she sprays my desk with cleaner, glancing at me like she'd like to spray me with cleaner. Scrub off the dumb. I squint a bit, hoping the lights will hurt my head less. And then I try to hold my pencil the way I'm supposed to, instead of the weird way my hand wants to. I write with one hand and shield my paper with the other. I know I better keep the pencil moving, so I write the word why over and over from the top of the page to the very bottom. One, because I know how to spell it right, and two, because I'm hoping someone will finally give me an answer. Yellow card. For Mrs. Hall's baby shower, Jessica shows up with such a big bunch of flowers from her father's flower shop that you'd swear she ripped a bush out of the ground and wrapped the bottom in foil. Whatever, I don't care. I found a bright card with yellow roses at the store, and a picture of flowers won't dry up in a week. I feel like it's my way of saying I'm sorry for being such a pain all the time. Max gives his present to Mrs. Hall. He leans back in his chair with his hands clasped behind his head as she opens it. He's given her diapers. I think he hoped to get a reaction from her and seems disappointed when she's happy. Max likes attention. He also likes parties. Just about every day, he asks Mrs. Hall for a party, and today he's finally getting one. When Mrs. Hall slides my card out of the envelope, she doesn't read it out loud like all the others. She hesitates, and I know that she must really love it. And I feel proud, which isn't something I feel very much. Mrs. Silver leans over to look. I figure I might finally get a compliment for once, but instead, her eyebrows bunch up and she motions me toward the door. Shay has gotten up to look. She laughs and said, "The world gets dumber every time Allie Nickerson speaks." Shay, sit down, Mrs. Hall says, but it's too late. You can't make people unhear something. I should be used to this, but it still takes a piece out of me every time. As Shay and Jessica laugh, I remember how we dressed up as our favorite book characters for Halloween last week. I came as Alice in Wonderland from the book my grandpa read to me a ton of times. Shay and her shadow, Jessica, called me Alice in Blunderland all day. Keisha steps up to Shay and says, "Why don't you mind your own business for once?" I like Keisha. She isn't afraid, and I'm afraid of so much. Shay turns, looking like she's ready to swat a fly. "Like it's your business?" she asks her. "That's right, it's not my business, but it's as much yours as it's mine," Keisha replies. Shay lets out a small gasp. "Stop talking to me." "Stop being mean," Keisha replies, leaning forward. Max folds his arm and leans forward across his desk. "Yes, there's going to be a fight," he says. "There isn't going to be a fight," Mrs. Hall says. Suki is holding one of her small wooden blocks. She has a collection of them that she keeps in a box, and I've seen her take one out when she gets nervous. She's nervous now. Shay glares at Keisha. Keisha is new this year, and I'm surprised she said something. Everyone is all riled up, and I don't even know how this all happened. While Mrs. Hall tells them both to cool off and points out to Max that it's foolish to root for a fight, Mrs. Silver waves me toward the door. What the heck is going on? Once we're out in the hallway, I can tell by Mrs. Silver's face that it's going to be another one of those times when I'll have to say I'm sorry or explain why I've done something. The thing is, I have no idea why I'm even in trouble this time. I stuff my hands in my pockets to keep them from doing something I'll regret. I wish I could put my mouth in there too. "I just don't get it, Allie," she says. "You've done other things that have been inappropriate, but this is just, well, different. It's not like you." It figures. I do something nice and she says it isn't like me. And I can't understand how buying a card is bad. Allie, Mrs. Silver says, if you're looking for attention, this isn't the way to do it. She has that wrong. I need attention like a fish needs a snorkel. The door swings all the way open, hitting the lockers, and Oliver springs from the room. Allie, he says, I think you gave her that card to tell her you're sorry she has to leave us to go have some dumb baby. She's probably really sad. And I feel sorry for her too. What is he talking about? Oliver, Mrs. Silver asks, is there a reason you're out here? Yeah, um, I was going to go to the boys' room. Yeah, that's it. And off he runs. Can I just go now? I blurt out, feeling like the job of just standing here is something I can't do for another second. She shakes her head a bit as she speaks. I just don't get it. Why in the world would you give a pregnant woman a sympathy card? Sympathy card? I think. And I think some more. And then I remember. My mom sends those to people when someone they love dies. My stomach churns, wondering what Mrs. Hall must have thought. You do know what a sympathy card is, Allie, don't you? I should deny that I know, but I nod because I don't want to have to hear Mrs. Silver explain it. And besides, she'll think I'm even dumber than I am, if that's possible. Then why would you do such a thing? I stand tall, but everything inside shrinks. The thing is, I feel real bad. I mean, I felt terrible when the neighbor's dog died. Never mind if a baby had died. I just didn't know it was a sad card like that. All I could see were beautiful yellow flowers, and all I could imagine was how happy I was going to make her. But there are piles of reasons I can't tell the absolute truth. Not to her, not to anyone. No matter how many times I have prayed and worked and hoped, reading for me is still like trying to make sense of a can of alphabet soup that's been dumped on a plate. I just don't know how other people do it. Leaning against the wall in the hallway, I stay quiet. Some little kids walk by, reminding me that I'm in sixth grade, the highest grade in the school, but I feel like a baby. Allie, do you have anything to say? Mrs. Silver asks. I'm afraid to open my mouth because sometimes things just come out that get me in more trouble. Finally, she suggests we go to her office. I sit in the principal's office staring out the window, silent. I wonder what it would be like to be able to relax at school and not have to worry every second of every minute. I wish I had my sketchbook of impossible things. It's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm not a waste of space. I like to watch the pictures in my head become real in my book. My recent favorite is a snowman that works in a furnace factory. And then I decide that's the craziest, strangest, most unbelievable thing I could ever draw is me doing something right. Mrs. Silver's sigh brings me back to reality. Between last year and this year, you've been here for less than 5 months, Allie, and you've been to visit me far too much. You need to make some changes, she says. I sit silent. It's up to you. It's not up to me. It's never been up to me. Mrs. Silver's talking is like background noise, like the radio in the car. I don't have any words to explain. It was a mistake, and I'm ashamed, and I don't feel like sharing that with her. She takes a breath. Did you think it would be funny? I shake my head. Did you want to hurt her? I look up quick. No, I wouldn't want to hurt her. And I wonder what I've wondered before. Should I just tell her? It's like my chair is over a trapdoor and there's a button to drop myself. I want to, but I'm afraid. I look up at her, looking at me all disappointed. Again. And I think that there's no use. They already think I'm a pain, so why add dumb to their list? It's not like they can help anyway. How can you cure dumb? And so I look out the window again, remind my mouth to keep shut. I've learned from the 7 different schools I've been to that it's better to stay quiet. Never argue unless I really have to. I realize that both of my hands have curled into tight fists, and Mrs. Silver is looking at them. She sits down in the chair next to me. Allie, sometimes it seems that you just want to get in trouble. She leans forward a bit. Do you? I shake my head. Come on, Allie. Tell me what's going on. Let me help you. I look at her quick and then away. I mumble. No one can help me. That's not true. Will you let me try? She points at a poster on the wall. Can you read that for me, please? She says, out loud. The poster shows two hands reaching for each other. Great. Probably some sappy saying about friends or sticking together or whatever. I don't even have friends. Come on, Allie. Read it for me, please. The letters on the poster look like black beetles marching across the wall. I could probably figure most of them out, but I'd need a lot of time. And when I'm nervous, forget it. My brain goes blank like an etch-a-sketch turned upside down and shaken, gray and empty. Well, what does it say? She asked again. I don't need to read it to you. I get it, I say, trying to bluff, staring her dead in the eyes. Believe me, I know all about it already. I don't know about that, kiddo. I think you might need to work on it a bit. Now I wish I knew what the poster said. I don't look at it, though. Then she'll want to talk about it more. The bell rings. Mrs. Silver rakes her hair with her fingers. Allie, I don't know if you thought the card would be funny, or you are upset that Mrs. Hall's leaving, or what, but it feels like you've crossed a line this time. I imagine myself crossing the finish line, my body breaking the bright red ribbon, the crowd cheering as confetti spins through the air. But I know this is not what she means. As of Monday, your new teacher will be Mr. Daniels. Let's try to avoid any negative consequences, okay? I think about how me avoiding consequences would be like the rain avoiding the sky. She waves me out, and as I stand, I look at that poster again. I wish I knew what it was I should learn, because I know that I should know a lot more than I do. She sighs as I leave her office, and I know she's tired of me. Even I'm tired of me. As I run from the office, the hallways are filling with kids. I head back to my classroom to apologize to Mrs. Hall before the buses leave. I run up behind her, tap her on the shoulder. When she turns and looks at me, her face goes sad before straightening out. I stand there thinking how sorry I am, hoping she doesn't think I'd wish anything bad on her baby. But I can't find the words. My mind does the etch-a-sketch thing. Blank. What is it, Allie? She finally asks. She puts her hand on her big belly like she needs to protect it. I turn and run out of the room, down the hall and out the front door. The buses are pulling away without me. But that's the way it should be, I guess. I deserve to walk all that long way and all by myself. When I finally get to Park Road, I head into A.C. Peterson Farms, which is a weird name for a restaurant. They have pictures of cows inside and outside, but it's on a busy street with tons of stores. I wonder if there's a restaurant somewhere in the middle of nowhere named Crowded City. My mom is waiting. Where have you been? I've been worried sick, she says, wiping her hands on her apron. I missed the bus and had to walk. She shakes her head. Sit yourself right down there and start that homework of yours, she says, nodding toward the end of the counter. The same place I always sit. A place where she can keep an eye on me, she says. Anything you want to tell me? She seems tired. They called you, didn't they? I ask. Yes. I don't know why you would do such a thing, Allie. She sounds sad instead of mad, which is worse, I think. There's a tray full of glass sundae dishes filled with brightly colored ice cream. Strawberry, pistachio, black raspberry, pink, green, and purple. I like the colors next to each other and wonder what kind of impossible things I can draw about ice cream. Maybe melting rivers of it, and a man with a cone-shaped head sitting in a banana split dish rowing with a spoon. Allie, are you listening? Oh, sorry, I mumble, pushing off the floor with my foot to spin on the padded stool. I just don't know what to say anymore. My mom's boss looks at her over his glasses. She drops to a whisper. Just do your homework. We'll talk at home. And please, no spinning on that stool. I'm sorry. I am. I really thought Mrs. Hall would like that card. How could that be? She says as she picks up the tray of ice cream and moves away. I pull out a book and open it, but the letters squiggle and dance. How are other people able to learn letters that move? So instead, I stare at the steaming liquid dripping into a coffee pot and start thinking of steaming volcanoes and dinosaurs standing around drinking coffee, staring up at the giant meteors soaring through the air, commenting on how pretty it is. And I think about how lucky they were that they never had to go to school. I grab a napkin and begin a drawing of them for the sketchbook of impossible things. Soon, my mom's brown and white checkered apron is in front of me. I look up. I swear it. I didn't know it was a card for dead people. It's a sympathy card, she says, and it's for the people that miss the person that has died, not for the dead. Well, don't you think the dead person deserves a card more than anyone? And she laughs. She leans her elbow on the counter and lifts her other arm to put her hand on my face. It's warm, and I'm so relieved that she isn't mad at me. You're funny, you know that? Then she pulls over the napkin with the dinosaurs holding coffee cups. What's this? Just an idea I have for the sketchbook of impossible things. She stares at it. Aw, your grandpa knew you were talented, and he'd be so proud of how hard you're working on your art. And he would love that you named your sketchbook after Alice in Wonderland. He had such fun sharing that book with you. She looks up at me, just like he shared it with me when I was young. Alice in Wonderland, a book about living in a world where nothing makes sense, made perfect sense to me. I miss Grandpa, I say. 3 words that hold sadness like a tree holds leaves. Me too, sweetheart. I miss how he'd move from place to place with us whenever Dad got stationed somewhere new or deployed. It's weird to think he doesn't know that we've moved again. She taps the end of my nose. I don't know, sweetheart. I think he knows. Just then, voices I recognize come through the glass doors. It's Shay and Jessica. When I turn around, Shay says, Well, look who's here. It's Allie Nickerson. They know my mom works here and have seen me here before, so I figure it isn't a coincidence that they're here. Allie, Shay says, you never came back to class. We were worried about you. What a joke that is. I turn back around while they whisper. Then Jessica asks, Why don't you come sit with us? Her voice reminds me of a pin hidden inside a candy bar. My mom motions with her head that I should follow them. Go ahead, sweetheart. You could take a break. I give my mom the please just stop eyes while Shay mimics the word sweetheart in her baby voice. I guess my mom didn't hear because she whispers, New friends would be good, Allie. It wouldn't hurt you to at least give them a chance. Someone comes to seat them, but Shay asks, Can we just sit at the counter? Great. Once they sit, there are 2 stools between them and me. My mom leans in and whispers, Why don't you move down and sit with them? They're reaching out, Allie. Reaching out with a bottle of poison. I think back to one of our apartments where the landlords kept llamas in their field. I love them, but Mom said they smelled. I whisper back, It's more likely that you'd buy me my own pet llama than me sit with them. She half smiles. What shall we name the llama? I squint and shake my head. She makes that exasperated sound. So stubborn. Shay and Jessica stare at us like 2 cats watching birds in a cage. My mom takes her pad out and walks over to them. Hello, girls. What can I get you? Jessica orders strawberry ice cream. But when Shay orders chocolate, Jessica tells my mom, Oh, that sounds good. I'll have chocolate instead. I roll my eyes. Typical Jessica. As soon as my mom is gone, Shay asks, So, Allie? I look over. Why would you give Mrs. Hall that card? That's like really mean. Since there is no good answer to give, I stare at the page in my book. I'll ignore them. I've taken their teasing before. Jessica laughs. Has your mother always been a waitress? No, I blurt out. She used to be an astronaut. They break into laughter, and over near the kitchen, my mom smiles. She thinks I'm bonding with them. My father, Jessica begins, owns his own flower business, and he says, Shay interrupts, Allie, maybe you can be a waitress when you grow up, but can you read the flavors of ice cream for me? I'm having trouble. She points up at the slow turning cube hanging from the ceiling that lists the flavors on each side. The movement makes it even harder to read. I feel my face get hot. Oh no, do they know I can't read? As they laugh, I remember how I had to read aloud last year when I first got here. I knew I shouldn't have, but some stupid voice in my head sometimes says it will be different this time, and I try. And I always fail. That day, I read that macaroni can swim up to 20 miles an hour. It was supposed to be a manatee. The class laughed, of course, but so did the teacher, so I tried to pretend I had done it on purpose. I get up, walk behind them, around the corner, and into the back room. I'm not supposed to be back there, but it's the only place they can't follow me. I step behind the tall metal shelves with cans of pickles and ketchup and relish that are bigger than my head. Pushing my back hard against the wall, I see words on everything that surrounds me. Boxes and cans and giant plastic bottles. Words. I can never get away from them. I think back to second grade when my teacher wrote a whole lot of letters down and asked me what they said. I had no idea, but I was used to that. That spells your name, Allie. Allie Nickerson. Who knew a second grader could understand what being humiliated feels like? Tears begin to come, but I swallow them because I know I'll be found soon. I worry so much about them knowing my secret that my stomach feels like I've been kicked in the guts. Allie, my mom asks as she comes around the corner, your friends have gone. What are you doing back here? I can't tell her. Thinking I have friends makes her so happy. Honey? I was checking the ingredients of ketchup. Her eyebrows bunch up. She knows something is up, but I walk past her before she asks another question. I walk back out into the restaurant with her following and sit next to Shay's and Jessica's matching empty dishes. It feels like they should mean something. Like maybe I'm an empty dish compared to everyone else. But mostly, these dishes make me feel like this year will be the worst year I've had so far. And that's really saying something. Dollars and wooden nickels. The back door swings open, and my brother, Travis, is there smelling like grease, looking like he rolled in it, and I instantly feel better. How's my favorite little sister? I'm your only little sister. Doesn't matter, you'd still be my favorite, he smiles. So your favorite big brother had a silver dollar day today. I think of Grandpa and Dad, who always asked us if we were having a silver dollar day or a wooden nickel one. Travis is doing that thing where he wiggles his fingers in the air and asks his daily question, what are these? He looks older, more like my dad, who's been deployed since just before Thanksgiving last year. It was hard to feel thankful after he'd gone, especially since Grandpa had died 3 months before that. The hands of a genius, I say. Correctamundo. Do you realize you come home every day and ask me to compliment you? Not really, he says, opening the fridge. Just asking you to state the facts. You are unbelievable. Exactly, he says, pointing at me. Guess what? I finished restoring an old Coke machine today. Thing is like 70 years old. He pops open a soda. Those things are worth a bundle fixed up. Then he holds up the can. Look at this. Disappointing compared to those old green bottles. Travis must be happy. The happier he is, the more he goes on about things. And, he says, I picked up an old gumball machine, the kind that takes pennies. I'll sell it for 10 times what I paid for it. His voice drops and he takes a sip. I'll have to throw some money and elbow grease at it first, though. He comes over like he's going to mess up my hair, but I block his dirty hands. No way, I laugh. Don't touch me. Oh, come on, Al. I've had a great day. And guess what? I almost have enough to buy those rolling tool cabinets, and someday my big neon sign. He sweeps his hand through the air like he's showing me a row of mountains. Nickerson Restoration, my own place, my name, our name, is going to be in lights someday, Al. But then his voice deflates. I just have to get out of high school. We're like oil and water, school and me. I wish Mom would let me quit. She would kill you. Yeah, so would Dad. And being dead won't be good for my business. He smiles. Won't be long, though. I'm learning a ton at the garage. The boss is letting me do all kinds of different stuff. I smile. I'm going to buy a car soon, too. A classic. And a V6 at least. And then he's off, and I can still smell the grease after he's gone. I'm glad he had a silver dollar day. When my mom finally gets home, I've already microwaved my dinner and I'm watching TV while I sketch pictures of a pet llama named Butch Cassidy. With a name like that, I give him a cowboy hat, a bandana, and a holster. But in the holster, he carries an ear of corn. When my mom comes in from work, she turns off the TV and I can feel it coming. So, she begins, when are we go when are we really going to talk about today? On my 95th birthday. Funny one. She shifts her weight. I'm trying to be patient, honey. I really am. But today was a party. How could you get into trouble at a party? I don't have to do anything. They all hate me, I blurt out. I doubt that. But can't you see why they'd be tired of your behavior? These shocking things you do and say to get laughs? She doesn't get it. Being funny when you don't mean to be is terrible. Having to laugh at yourself along with everyone else is humiliating. Oh, Allie, you're too smart for this. School is too important to joke about. I don't want you working long hours on your feet for a bunch of tips like me. I want more for you. And you're so smart, good at math, a gifted artist. Don't you think it's time to stop clowning around? I'm not that smart. You say that, but I'm not. Now we know that isn't true. You could stand to work a little harder, though. I'm so tired of this conversation. We've had it 100 times, even though my third grade teacher told her that I might just be slow, that my mom shouldn't expect too much of me. My mom's eyes got all wide and shiny when she heard that, and I felt sad and embarrassed for her having to be my mom. But my mother's never bought what that teacher said. I sometimes wish she would, but most times I'm grateful that she hasn't. She bends over to look at me dead in the eyes. I know that moving as much as we have has been hard for you, and I know I work all the time and can't keep tabs on your schoolwork. It has made it hard for you to keep up with some subjects, and I understand that. I really do. But you're going to have to make more effort, Allie. Things worth having are worth working for. I'll do better, I tell her. I used to say this and mean it. Now it feels like I'm just making up one of my stories. Her smile is sad. Okay, then. She kisses the top of my head. Can I turn the TV back on now? She unties her apron as she stares. Did you take your bath yet? No, I sigh. The tiredness in her voice says there's no use arguing. I trudge toward the hallway. By the way, I don't want to hear you say that people hate you, she calls out. How could anyone on earth possibly hate you? I wish she could understand my world, but it would be like trying to explain to a whale what it's like to live in the forest. Triple-sided coin. Travis opens the door of the pawn shop in town and waves me in ahead of him. The bell on the door announces our arrival as it hits the glass. The dusty smell of the place triggers a bunch of memories. Good times. Together times. When Dad and Grandpa would take Travis and me out looking for coins. Numbers and money are something Travis and I can do well, so we took to it fast. Grandpa loved the dustiest stores best because they were the ones that would have uncracked rolls of coins in the backs of their safes. When the store owners would trade the old rolls for new bills, we'd open them at home to see what was inside. Sometimes we'd find a buffalo nickel, a mercury dime, or an Indian head penny. It was like a little bit of Christmas. Being here makes me ache to go back in time. The man behind the counter doesn't say hello. He rolls a toothpick back and forth in his mouth with his tongue. In one way, it is completely impressive, and in another, the grossest thing I've ever seen. Travis rests his fingertips on the glass counter, looking down into the case filled with coins. You need something? The man doesn't talk the way Mom says you're supposed to talk to customers. I want to buy some coins, Travis says. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Travis brushes his chin with his knuckle, something he does when he is nervous.
The guy reaches up and takes the toothpick out of his mouth. He uses it to point at Travis. Do you have any money, or are you all talk? Travis does what Dad said never to do. He shows him his money, and not money like a regular person. A roll of money wrapped in an elastic band. The guy's eyes widen. Then he asks, looking for something special? I want Liberty coins. You got any? He takes out several coins. One is a mercury dime with a head that looks like it has wings for ears. I remember those, I say, like the one Daddy has in his wallet. Travis turns him over in his hand. Nice. You have anything more unusual? The guy's eyebrows jump. He reaches into a drawer. This is unusual, but it'll cost you big. I don't mind paying for something special. Okay then, he says. This one is special. He puts a penny on the counter. Travis picks it up and his eyebrows bunch up. This is smaller than other pennies. The guy nods. It is. A rare find. Travis glances at me and then turns towards the guy. How much? Well, the guy says, if you know anything about coins, you know that a coin with a flaw in it is far more valuable than a regular coin. Something isn't right with it, and it's worth more? Like I said, Travis says. How much? The guy tilts his head to the side. Well, normally I'd ask for 80, but I'll charge you, say, 75. Travis smiles. Even I remember how Dad used to tell us never to smile when you get a number. Never. Even if it's the best number in the world, and here he is smiling like he won the lottery. I try to look serious enough for the both of us. Well, that's really generous of you. 75 bucks for a penny that's been dipped in nitric acid. The guy's smile falls off his face. I bet the police would be interested in a little bit of fraud. Now listen. Travis interrupts. Look, I wasn't born yesterday. Stop messing with me. Travis points at a coin in the case that has a walking woman wrapped in a sheet with the sun's rays behind her. It is beautiful. That 1933 Walking Liberty $50. How much for that one? Well, that one is in really fine condition. In fact, just tell me how much, Travis says, leaning in, palms on the glass. 45. 36 and you throw in the mercury dime for my little sister. I look up quick. For me? Then I do the math. Yup, he's following Dad's rule of offering 20% less than what they offer. But Travis threw in something extra. The guy squints. 40. Travis nods. Done. He slaps the money on the glass case. Outside the store, Travis holds the dime toward me. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it so much. Thank you, Travis. You're the best. He looks a little sad, staring at the coin. You know, Grandpa was born in 1933. That's why I chose these coins. They were both minted in that year. I look down at my mercury diamond estate, wishing people could last as long as coins. When we get into the car, Travis says, Did you see how that guy in there took me for a fool? Trying to rip me off. Remember, Allie, when people have low expectations of you, you can sometimes use it to your advantage. Then he looks at me right in the eyes and points at my nose. As long as you don't have low expectations of yourself. You hear? I nod again, but I think to myself that it's hard not to these days. I sit on my bed holding my copy of Alice in Wonderland. The shaky writing in the front of the book says, For Allie, my wondrous girl. Love, Grandpa. The colors of the book are all bright even though the book is old. Inside, the pages are soft and the writing is bigger than in books now, but I still can't read it by myself. It's like having a gift that's locked in a glass box. I'm feeling heavy, but I always do on Sunday nights. The thought of another week of school does that. It's like knowing I have to pull a tire through a keyhole the next day. But I'll have a new teacher, and Mr. Daniels sounds like a grandfatherly type with pockets full of lollipops, which could be nice. I'm hoping he'll spend a lot of time straightening his bow tie and telling us about the good old days and not giving us much work. But when I show up, I find that Mr. Daniels is no grandfather. He's younger than Mrs. Hall. He wears a dark jacket and a tie with colored circles on it. When I get closer, I realize they're planets. Most of the kids are gathered around him. I throw my stuff in the closet and walk over. He says, "My very excellent mother just served us nachos and claims it is an easy way to memorize the planets in order from the sun." Albert, whose hair reminds me of a bird's nest, stands nearby. I feel bad for Pluto. I look over and my eyes are pulled to the bruises on his arms. Pluto was a planet all those years, and then someone just decided it wasn't anymore? Too small, too far away, orbit not just right. "I really don't think Pluto cares, Albert," I mumble. He sits in his chair and says, "Well, I do." I feel bad for him and want to ask him about the marks. He is big and clunky, but not fat, the kind of size where others would usually leave him alone. I pull out my chair and sit down. Okay, I tell myself, I'm going to do better. I'm going to work harder. That's all I need to do. I'm going to really concentrate this time, even though I know I've tried that and it doesn't work. Reading for me is like when I drop something and my fingers scramble to catch it, and just when I think I've got it, I don't. If trying to read helped, I'd be a genius. Mr. Daniels is in front of me. I hold my breath and lean back. He holds out his hand. "I'm Mr. Daniels. Nice to meet you," he says. Shay leans toward Jessica. I guess he doesn't know who he's talking to. As usual, most of her friends laugh. "Hey," Mr. Daniels says, turning to her. "That isn't cool. We don't do that in here," which wipes the smile off Shay's face. Then he turns back to me. "What's your name?" "Allie Nickerson," I answer, so softly that even I can barely hear myself. "Well, are you going to shake my hand, Allie Nickerson?" he asks. "I don't bite on Mondays." Great. Just what I need. A funny guy for a teacher. I take his hand, but only for a second. My mind is already spinning off, wondering what terrible things Mrs. Silver has told him, the plans they've made for me. I see myself wrapped in rope and lying on the train tracks, just like in Grandpa's old black and white silent movies. "Okay, Fantasticos, take your seats," he calls. "Time to set the world on fire." Everyone scrambles to their seats, but I'm still lying on the imaginary train tracks, all tied up and watching the engine come around the corner.